We've been looking at the 8 qualities at the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5, known as the Beatitudes. Now, the Sermon on the Mount has application for every area of the Christian life, but what I'd like to do is to make particular application of these qualities to the Christian home. And today, I'd like to look at the 3rd quality, meekness. Jesus said, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." This is such an important character quality, and it is especially important within a marriage or within a family. You can't get along in a marriage without knowing how to yield your rights. You can't get along in a family or a church without knowing how to apply this quality to your life. And I think sometimes we shortchange our children by providing them with material things and a college education, and yet we fail to teach them basic qualities such as meekness and how to yield their rights. You know, you can be a Christian and saved for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, but still a spiritual babe in terms of your development of Christ-like character. And let me just sidetrack here for a moment, because I can't overemphasize the importance of character training in the Christian home. In case you haven't noticed, godly character does not come naturally to our children. It needs to be taught. You don't need to teach your children how to steal or how to lie or how to have a temper tantrum, but you do need to teach them self-control and humility and gentleness and kindness and forgiveness and meekness. These are character qualities that need to be taught. They're certainly not being taught in the public schools. They need to be taught in the Christian home. Believe it or not, your children will probably make it through life without trigonometry and algebra, but they won't make it without character. And there is something about meekness. It is an incredibly powerful quality. It's the only quality that Jesus ever ascribed to himself. He said, "Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart." Meekness involves yielding our rights rather than fighting for them. It involves navigating our way out of a conflict rather than getting embroiled in one. It takes a person who understands the high value of relationships to just give in, rather than to demand their rights and insisting that things be done their way. And the person that gives in may be thought of as being weaker, but in reality, they are the stronger. And it needs to be balanced like this. When God's rights or truth are being challenged, you stand up for it, and you be prepared to stand alone. But when it's your own personal rights or preferences that are being challenged, then we need to be willing to just back down. One of the greatest marks of spiritual maturity is the yielding of rights. One preacher said, "The mark of spiritual maturity and the manifestation of spiritual strength is not getting into a fight, but it's staying out of one." Check out the conflicts in homes and churches and schools, and almost always there is someone who is going to hold on to their rights no matter what. Someone said, if you emphasize rights, you will have a rebellion. Emphasize responsibilities, and you will have a revival. And that's exactly what happened in 17th century France and England. In France, the people's rights were emphasized, and the result was a bloody revolution. The same thing would have happened in England at that same time, but there were godly men like Charles Wesley and George Whitefield who preached the gospel, and with that, the importance of personal responsibility, and the result was a nationwide revival. I'm speaking here of one of the most important qualities that you and I will ever learn in the Christian life. And following salvation, the Holy Spirit is working in each one of our lives to develop this beautiful quality of meekness. And if you can teach your children this quality of meekness, you will be strengthening their future marriage and relationships.